Welcome to ASK-A-WAI. I'm
Yeah.
John Pollock, and he is the man you ask. Way.
Well, it's just a name. We're asking you as well.
Yeah, Ask-A-John doesn't really have that. That could have certainly a different connotation.
Yeah.
Ask-A-John. Where's your hat today? You have nothing. You've given up on both of them.
Not a hat day.
Oh. What constitutes a hat day?
How lazy I am to wash my hair.
Does that take a lot of work?
Some days, yeah. Some days I don't have enough time and I just have to get to work.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's get into the questions.
Okay, this comes from Derek9000, who says, if there are unlimited hours in a day and you were asked to host yet another weekly wrestling review podcast, what show would you choose?
I would review This Week in WWE. It's 30 minutes. That's what I would add to my list.
I would definitely love to review some of the WWE Network shows. I feel like I get my fill of wrestling. I get my fill of wrestling matches. I like all the kind of extra programming. A lot of people don't care for it, but I like a lot of the, I would even be willing to review this Edge and Christian show once a week if I had to do it. I'm doing the Total Divas review for the Raw report, and
there's nothing stopping you, Way. We will dedicate as much time as you want.
well, I mean, I actually enjoy watching some of these shows, and I even if they're bad, I like talking about them. So
I contemplated watching the Edge and Christian show, and just couldn't.
no,
I would say the clips they have chosen to represent that show have worked in the opposite fashion for myself.
So you haven't even watched it?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Have you? What, beyond
have.
the first show? Did you watch the second one?
no, not yet. I'll check it out though. But I think that there are a lot of really good network shows out there, like Table for Three, or at least shows that I'm curious to watch and potentially talk about. But we'll be discussing these anyway on all of our review podcasts.
Chris from Melbourne, Australia. Thanks to the internet fans of both ROH and New Japan, are able to view these promotions, shows, and pay-per-views online legally. Is there any way for fans outside of North America to view either TNA or Lucha Underground legally? TNA has many international deals, but if you fall into one of the countries that does not, there is no, I guess, legal way to watch Lucha Underground or Impact if you're in an area that doesn't have a television deal. So yeah, you do have to go through alternative means, though I believe Lucha Underground is working to curb that, and that should probably be to their best interest. I mean, here in Canada, it's a perfect example. We don't get the El Rey network. TLN is airing season 1, so the only way to keep up with this is to find it alternatively. I'd be more than happy to give Lucha Underground's platform my view by going to watch it there, but that's not an option.
And do you think those companies mind piracy outside of their market?
No, I don't think you should. If there's no other means to follow your product, why would you want to just shut your product out to an audience that just does not have the capabilities to do so? So that's the only way to follow the product, and by the time they can set up something, I'm sure they'll migrate to your platform or watch it if you can strike a deal in their geographical location.
So we're recommending people to pirate away.
Well, if there's no other way, I mean, come up with a better solution. My morals are not questioned when my options are that or don't cover it at all, don't talk about it. Have you noticed all the advertising for Lucha Underground in Toronto? They've got bus ads that
Really?
I see constantly. Yeah.
Like on the inside, or not the
Outside.
Oh, like a plastered bus?
Yes.
Or at least a
No,
little
not the
strip?
entire bus, just the side panel.
Wow, cool.
Yep.
I don't see it.
Lots of promotion for Lucha Underground. It would have been wonderful if they had the up-to-date season, because I hear zero response to anyone that's watching season 1 on TLN. Hi, John and Way. After listening to a lot of old review aways, I'm curious as to how you think 6 years of reviews, interactions with fans, and years of growing up has changed you. Some of the old reviews feature views on gender and sexuality, extraordinarily sexist feedback read out on the show, and even outdated views on things like recycling. To what extent has your interaction with a broad spectrum of wrestling fans through these shows caused you to evolve as people?
What did we say about recycling?
I can't possibly remember.
So outdated.
Yeah, but Randy was clearly offended by it.
I feel like doing the 6 years of reviews, I mean, I've had to upload some of these older shows that we've done up on YouTube over the past several weeks, and just to hear myself, I feel completely, it sounds so different. It might not sound that different to people who listen, but when I hear back myself, like sometimes I just, I had, like this week, for instance, we're putting up WrestleMania 9, and that was like in the first year of shows that we've done. And I think I sounded a bit more, it's hard to describe. You know, like I feel like anybody who took a 6-year-old recording of themselves and tried to listen back, they would hear some differences. But as far as like the difference as a wrestling fan, I definitely feel like I'm able to speak more eloquently about my opinions on wrestling. I have a more formed opinion about about what I'm watching on TV. I think back then it was probably a bit tougher. 6 years of interacting with fans, I think, I don't think it's affected me that much. I feel like it's been great to be aware that there are people that like it. I think that's the major thing, but it hasn't necessarily changed my opinion of wrestling that much.
In person, I love interacting with people. I can't say I've had any negative experiences in person. I'd have to really rack my brain to think of negative experiences in person with listeners, fans, what have you. In terms of, I guess I've outlined my layers of the kind of feedback you get. I appreciate most of the feedback we get on our message board, which I guess is more people that are going to be, I guess, receptive to us as personalities. I would say Twitter is a mixed bag. I find that is where you will get the most. You will get both constructive criticism and also just plain out destructive criticism to just whether it be insults, but sometimes it's always with a point. The one that drives me nuts are the ones that it always will start off with, I'm really surprised that you didn't, and whatever it is, it's like the most minute detail that somehow we did not cover in the show. And this caused shock on this person's part that we didn't talk about this, which I'm sorry. Every element and every aspect of every story is not going to be covered. Then,
do you ever feel that way though when you're listening to other podcasts?
To wrestling ones?
No, not necessarily. Like any other,
very few.
Any other show that you might watch, where you feel like, oh, I hope they brought that up, and they didn't. I'm trying to, and I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think like why there's a difference there between, you know, somebody being so freely to say that on Twitter versus not being free to say that in person. And I feel like, I mean, you know, when you have complete anonymity, you don't really need to be held accountable for, you know, being.
Oh, and I don't even think something like someone pointing out that to me, I don't care about that. That's not being impolite. It's just an odd thing that I find there's a high volume of. It's like, I'm surprised you didn't talk about this.
And why do you think that is?
Just because it's a point that someone can contribute to the conversation. I think that there's something in just, hey, I have something to throw out. I can't really weigh the value of it. Sure, okay, that's a point. Great. We spent 2 hours talking about this show. We didn't get to that point. I'm sorry. If you think it's an incomplete review.
But they're not necessarily, I mean, like you said, it might just be constructive. Or, I mean, it just might be trying to add to the conversation.
No, I'm not linking this as something where it's people that are just being dick. That is YouTube. YouTube is awful. I don't think I get much. I don't even go into comments on YouTube because it's mindless to me. It's mindless. That is that is me paintbrushing an entire comment section.
I always read YouTube comments just because I think when you're talking about the lack of filter between, you know, the person producing the content and just the viewer, YouTube is the place where.
Why is YouTube so much worse than Twitter? I mean, it's going to be different for other people. I'm sure people will say Twitter's worse.
I think on Twitter, I think there are levels of accountability per platform. I think Facebook is the most personal, but it's probably got your a real set of your real friends, and your friends are going to see what you actually write, and it's probably got your real name, your real photo. Twitter, you know, it's still very anonymous. I think depending on how much stake you put into your own account. You know, you might treat it with a bit more respect than you would something else. But on YouTube, you know, nobody's got their real name on YouTube. You know, like look down on the.
It's the most detached platform for a poster.
So, you know, and I think I wonder how many people even read a lot of YouTube comments. I just like reading them because when you want to think about imagine like walking around here and thinking, wow, what's that person thinking exactly in their head right now? And you know, this person would be probably otherwise completely afraid to say it in person, but on YouTube, there's no filter. Everything that they're actually thinking is just there, whether good or bad. And you know, often it's funny too. So I just find that
it's also the visual component. You're attached to a video where to me it's the laziest way to attack an argument is to defer to how this person looks, how this person comes. It's just that's the easiest way to go with a video. Someone who you might disagree with, it's okay. Attack.
It's juvenile, and it's
that's it.
It's funny,
but YouTube kind of lends itself to that when you're putting yourself in that kind of forum.
Yeah, I'm not saying like, you know, I don't think it's, if you're gonna try to debate some real political issues or things that actually matter, YouTube might not be the best forum, but I feel like there's a place for it, you know, for this like kind of dark room where anything goes.
Well, okay. You can enjoy the YouTube comments. I'm not the...
Post, let us know.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think of our faces.
Sure.
Down below.
Hey guys, what championship belt do you think looks the best?
All time? All time. Okay, let's say current and all time.
Okay, current and all time. Currently, I think that I really like the IWGP title. I think that looks very prominent. I really like that title. In terms of all time, I always loved that old Intercontinental title, which also was the same era as the winged eagle belt.
Yeah.
Those two are kind of the easy answers that people go to. To be honest, I'm really tired of the UFC titles, just the uniformity of them.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they've managed to stay the same though, and I think that says a lot for the initial design, the fact that they're able to kind of keep that.
I wish there was something distinct between the weight classes, something different about the titles.
Maybe different colors. Maybe they should be different in size.
I also feel that if they changed
are.
anything now, there would be such a 24-hour outrage that I could not possibly listen to.
What would be different? What would you say? Like maybe the shape of it, or like...
Listen, I'm just looking at it from a pure marketing standpoint, that if you wanted to market these things like the WWE has, I mean, just differentiating them, I mean, there's just look at it from a pure greed standpoint.
True. Yeah. I wonder how big of a market. I imagine the market for championship belts and like replica belts in UFC is not as big as the WWF because like they don't sell as many action figures as the WWF. And maybe I don't know, but you're right. I think it would.
Like even if the side panels featured like the little panels of like some of the like the welterweight title had like a Matt Hughes and a George St. Pierre, like the big champions that the division has produced, and it links your history to the current champion. This is the natural progression of this weight class is represented by this championship holder.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I perhaps though, the fact that they all look the same, though, it kind of adds to the idea that they're all worth the same. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, Demetrius Johnson's belt is worth just as much as Cain Velasquez's belt, despite their differences in weight, because the championship looks the same. Maybe there's something to that. I can't think of a current belt that I like, but all time I actually, it might not be my favorite, but one that I think about a lot actually, I think about it in my dreams, is the ECW, the WWF version of that ECW belt, which I think actually looks really cool.
You have dreams about it?
No, not really.
Oh.
It's the way it came out.
Oh, okay. I'd be curious what your hair would look like when you wake up from an ECW title dream.
Wow.
Is it just standing up?
That would be a hat day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's gonna wrap things up.
Yeah.
Is that a good show?
Sure.
All right. Where's the button to subscribe, Wei? Tell us how to subscribe to this channel to get more of these videos.
Right here, this thing right there.
Apparently on your mobile device, it's at another place.
Oh, is it there?
Well,
whatever.
I don't care about mobile viewers. It's it's the
gotta,
majority we have to speak to.
You got to sit down to watch this.
That's right.
In front of a screen.
All right. Well, go subscribe to youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling. This Sunday night on the Law. What a packed show. I think we'll discuss Shane McMahon at some point. There's also a great Ring of Honor pay-per-view going down on Friday night. I'm very much looking forward to this show. We'll be reviewing that. We're also going to have Jim Ross on the show. We're going to have Dave Meltzer on the show. And we'll talk about the Anderson Silva-Michael Bisping fight that is happening this Saturday afternoon, early evening. A 4 p.m. main card start.
And where can people watch that if they're in Canada?
Fight Network. You can watch it in Canada, elsewhere on Fight Pass. Who is your pick for that fight?
It's very tough to go against Anderson Silva. This man right here.
Yep.
I got to go with Anderson.
I win. 40. I'm picking Anderson Silva as well. I think that he will win. But I think this is a way more competitive fight than if this had happened 3 years ago. I think this
absolutely.
I mean, it's happening at a time when you can certainly make an argument that Michael Bisping could win this fight. I will not be stunned. If this happened 3 years ago and Michael Bisping won, I would have been shocked. So I'm still going with Anderson Silva in this particular fight, but a lot of questions, which make this one interesting.
And if people want to hear more about your thoughts on MMA, where can they go?
They can go to where we talk about real fights. You can go check out the MMA Report, which airs in all these markets in Canada. I don't even know the times it airs.
You never talk about the MMA Report.
Yeah, I know. I should.
This is a show, arguably the show that you put the most amount of effort into.
Yeah, it airs on, the best place to go is on our iTunes, Live Audio Wrestling, or you can subscribe directly to the MMA Report with John Pollock. I know that if you live in Winnipeg, it airs 10 p.m. on Friday nights there, which is Central Time. In Toronto, we're now on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m., so you can check it out there.
On where? TSN Radio?
TSN 1050 Toronto.
Okay. All right.
And it airs in Ottawa, it airs in Vancouver, and then Winnipeg. 4 markets.
Great. Awesome. So
this week I've got Michael Bisping on the show.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think a lot of people don't even know. I understand probably most wrestling fans don't care about it, but for a show like this, I think it sparks a lot of casual interest.
Yes. Maybe you should come on someday and help me out.
I'm not doing that. To talk about belts, maybe.
Sure. Yeah. I'd absolutely talk about belts.
I'm not doing that.
Love to do that. No. Maybe we'll have on a belt maker to talk about the look, the evolution of the look.
I'd listen to that.
Okay, well maybe I'll do that on a week coming up. He's Wei Ting, I'm John Pollock. We'll chat with you on the Lost Sunday night and go back, check out our shows from this past week. Review a Raw from Monday night, chatting Shane McMahon's return. Review Away from Wednesday, where we went over the go-home edition of Monday Night Raw from March of '96 to set up our review of WrestleMania 12 coming up next week. And we have a video coming up of our review of WrestleMania 9 from years ago, which is going to be airing on the WWE Network this Sunday.
With Bret Hart appearing.
Bret Hart versus Yokozuna.
Well, actually, we had an interview clip with him.
Oh, Bret Hart was on that show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we can hear all from Bret about that 1993 match and Hulk Hogan walking out at Caesar's Palace.
And next week, WrestleMania 12 on Review Away.
All right, that's coming up. We'll chat with you then.